Okay, hello. Welcome back to my oil painting studio and my 99 pieces painting for Access Gallery. As I said in the last video, we're getting down to the very end. I just took a short break and was looking at this and saw a few areas I wanted to play with in the background before I move back into the green in the foreground. So just want to blend this a little bit more down here. I had to make a choice. The background color, the rosy color, was so pretty, but compositionally, I think it needs to be just a bit smidge darker over here behind this green. So I had to make that choice and cover a little bit of this up. If I had more time, this is due in a week at the gallery and has to be dry. If I had more time, I would put more time into this. I have to admit, I would probably keep dorking around with it a lot more. So again, deadlines sometimes are really can be helpful. This is a charity event, so I am really going to get very like literally about $30 from this painting. So it's more of an act of love. Also, I have talked in many of my other videos about how painting is tied to my autism and ADHD and general health, honestly. You have witnessed over the last, I think I started this in May, over the last couple months, you have witnessed me finally recovering from my severe autistic burnout, where I was pretty much completely dysfunctional for a year and a half. So needless to say, getting back to working full time, being able to do more than one thing in a day and not be exhausted, is just so relieved and so happy and grateful. And so thanks for coming along with the ride, but I will probably talk about this in other videos at some point on my channel about my adult autism diagnosis and just the journey it's been over the last 3 years. My diagnosis anniversary, 3-year anniversary, is actually coming up here in the next couple weeks, so it's kind of a big one. So stay tuned and subscribe and all that for those. All right. I think that was everything I kind of wanted to play with in the background. We're going to leave it alone for now. So we're going to switch over now to the yellow-green forms. And I am very satisfied with this part of it over here. As I said in the last video, I think I kind of neglected this third because of the camera. I didn't want to block it. I've been kind of painting from the side. And so this needs a little bit of work over here. There's a couple spots down here just for giving it a sense of depth, of perspective, like it's three-dimensional. I need to do a little bit of work over here. So, and some of that is going to involve, well, it involves tiny brushes because I don't want to have to touch a single thing up because I screw it up. I'm going to come in with the phthalo blue. That's my darkest color on the green. And I need just such a tiny amount in some of these areas. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of blending because then it gets smeared all over the place, and I really want to just get this done. Like, these are the final brush strokes, so we're going to keep this very, very tight and controlled. Which means I will probably wipe something off if it's too much because there's no coming back at this point. I don't have time. This has to be dry. I've been discussing that I want to do a tiny little bit of gold leaf on it. The glue for the gold leaf should be arriving today. It's Friday. I hope it comes. I mean, worst case scenario, I just don't put gold leaf on it, but I think it would look cool, and that won't take long to dry. That's just a couple hours. So as long as the size, the glue shows up, I should be okay. But this oil paint has to be completely dry to do that, because otherwise tiny bits of gold leaf will stick in the wet oil paint, and that would be bad. Okay, so I want this doohickey, this swigadoodle, to look closer than this part. I was having fun with this shape, but in looking at the overall composition, this needs to look a little farther back, I think. So we're just going to gray it out a little bit, blend it out, a little more blue. And then I'll probably give this a little yellow highlight of some sort. Okay, so that was bugging me. I want a little more shadow on. I have these little tiny things back here. Well, that didn't go very well. I wanted to shade them a little bit. I kind of like that against the pink. I don't know. Actually, no, I don't. I'm going to wipe it off carefully. Very, very carefully. Oh, no, it stained it. It was too late. All right, well, they're blue now. When I get the green out, maybe I'll touch that up. I'm going to attempt the same thing over here. Hopefully not screw it up. I just like a little bit of depth is all. Okay. The green paint is dry, so it's sucking into the layer underneath it. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. It's really not critical. I'm just kind of screwing around with it. Okay. Another area I wanted to get is back here. Again, very little paint. There we go. This is my dry brush I'm blending. So I'm not putting very much paint on there at all. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, way too much paint. Had a big old glob on there, that would have been bad. So again, this is a little bit of that 2D trickery. Creating an illusion of three-dimensionality through shading and highlighting. And as an abstract painter, it's one of the things I like about it. It's fun because I kind of get to make my own reality, my own rules. I'm a big science fiction fantasy person. So if you see anything that looks kind of influenced by that, I'm sure it is. So that's, well, I want it to be three-dimensional and kind of trick the eye a bit. I don't really want it to look like a specific thing. And about halfway through, as I was developing the green, I'm like, I don't know, are these vines? What are they? I wasn't sure if they would get more literal. I was open to the possibility that I would make literal vines. But in my typical fashion, I have chosen to instead make them vine-like. There's a little hair on there. There we go. Which I find more intriguing. I very much respect painters who do realism, especially like super realism. It's just not my thing. That's why I have a camera. And again, I don't mean that as an insult to those painters at all. You paint what you want to paint, what your soul tells you you need to do. I'm not going to judge. I've been judged too much in my life. I don't really want to judge other people. But yeah, I do some realistic. I really like landscapes. I like nature. I kind of get drawn to those at times. So I do have some realistic looking artwork. Last year for this show, I did a rabbit at night with a pansy. I'll put it back up on the screen. I think I did that the last time I mentioned it too. So I can do both. I've been painting since I was 10, so I'm fairly proficient. Not in everything. I don't think anyone ever gets good at everything. There's not really a point to it other than your own ego. I'm good at the things that I like to do and I put a lot of time into. And the reason I've put a lot of time into them, and in what some people would consider an absurd amount of time, because it's not profitable, you're not somehow getting something tangible from it, like money, like the amount of time I've put on this painting. But it's a health issue for me. I have to do this as much as I have to breathe. There's just no way around it. Fortunately, my mother recognized this when I was 10 and found a very nice old lady down the street who had Siamese cats. I think I was more excited by the Siamese cats than I was we didn't have cats growing up. But yeah, I went down every Thursday and with a bunch of other senior citizens, which now at 58, I'm one of them. That's kind of a trip to think about. Yeah, she kind of gave me the the Bob Ross painting experience techniques. So I'm really grateful to my mom for that she took that initiative. And I think later I had another private art teacher. It wasn't oil painting, but I still have some works that I did in those. I'd go to her house. I did my first ink painting, which I really enjoyed. It's in the closet, actually. After my parents passed away, I got all my old artwork, which was kind of a trip. And then I've had friends from high school and college send me pictures of stuff that I gave them, 40 years ago, which is insane. So that's always cool to see. I've given away, I think I saw a Reddit, I don't know what it was on. It was on one of the social media feeds, and artists talking about they've given away more artwork than they've ever sold. And I definitely probably, other than the business I had, that wasn't easel painting, that was murals and decorative painting, faux finishing, that kind of stuff. A lot of furniture, cabinetry, which I enjoyed. I was in my 30s and had my art degree, and this is pre-internet. Took my little portfolio around and introduced myself after photocopying actual prints at Kinko's and putting it in an envelope and mailing it. This is the early 90s. I moved around the country, around the US, so I'd start my business wherever I moved. And I'd go through this thing we used to call the Yellow Pages, which was a giant phone book. And I would sit down and go through. And this is a tip for you if you want to break into like the mural business, decorative painting, get commissions. I would look up all the interior designers, architectural firms that had interior designers on staff, meaning they were like a full service business. Sorry, I have to pay attention for a minute what I'm doing here. Anyways, you obviously don't need to use the Yellow Pages in mail, but reach out. Paint stores, high-end paint stores. Sherwin-Williams was always very good to me. Actually, specifically the Mequon store in Wisconsin. Shout out to you guys. That was ages ago. I doubt any of them still work there. But yeah, I started my business over and over again. Let me put my other brush. Back in that purple I put on before. I don't know why this spot over here is just really chalky feeling. I just can't get that smoothness. Probably just not as many layers as paint on it, I guess. Just really want to darken some of this down, give it a bit more depth. This is my dry brush. I'm just blending ever so carefully and slightly. And again, when you get up really close, there's some very, very subtle colors and textures and shapes, because this is only a 10-inch board, masonite board, so it's not very big. I usually paint a bit bigger than this, on a bigger canvas, I guess I should say. All right, what are we going to do with you? I'm going to be coming back in with the yellow-green. Just trying to decide where I want that highlight. Okay. I think we're getting close to done with this phthalo. I keep saying this is my last painting session. but I think we're probably going to have a couple more videos because I need to come in with the yellow green. I'm trying to keep these to under 30 minutes. Again, if people would leave comments and let me know your preferences with the videos. Talking, no talking, music, sped up, actual time. Let me know. Okay. I think actually I do, hang on a second here. I need to use, I'm not going to use the one on the pink because I want to keep it for later. I'm going to use a clean little blending puff here. I had a lot of brush strokes back here and I don't like that. I want it to be a little softer and blend this phthalo blue onto the dry green and just make it look like it's a little further away and a little softer. The edges are softer, a little blurrier. Very pretty. Very pretty. Oh, that was from earlier. Got red on there. Okay. This takes a lot of concentration to not screw this up at this point. A lot of focus. Ooh, this turned into a really pretty blue-green down here. I like it. Oh, I like those too now. See, sometimes you just got to do stuff. Oh, I need to, this blue back here has gotten really lost. The phthalo. It's so bright everywhere else. I want to bring it up there a little bit. Same with down here. Yeah, this has turned out pretty cool. I'm happy with it. I hope whoever buys it is happy with it. You get a whole video of me painting it that is yours to keep and share with the internet. I hadn't really thought about that part of it. And then I told my husband too. I said, it hadn't dawned on me that this might not turn out. And here I've posted all these videos before it's done. Kind of flying without a net here. But I've been doing this long enough. I figured I could pull it off in one way or another. So yay, I'm happy with how it came out. And whoever you are, I hope you enjoy it too. All right, I'm going to take a break. I need to step back from this. I'm up really, really close looking at these details, which are yummy and fun and tasty. But I need to step back and kind of look at the whole composition. And the next video, I'll come in here and do the highlights on the green. That'll be pretty much it. Maybe a few pink highlights in the back at the final end to give it a big old pizzazz. And then again, I'll get the gold leaf. I have a bunch of little spatter dots that I've kept in the background, and a few other places I'll add. So there'll just be this little tiny sparkle of gold leaf. And I have some actual 24K gold leaf. It's actual real gold leaf. So it's okay if I don't varnish it. It's gold. It won't tarnish. A lot of the stuff that you buy is actually aluminum and copper and things like that. So they will tarnish if you don't put a little varnish on it. When I finally do the gilding, I'll tell the story of how I got the the gold leaf. I'll give you a preview. I was asked to put gold leaf on the top of a 30-foot tall flagpole and do the ball on the top. It was interesting. Successful, but interesting. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, leave comments. I need a title. I don't know, by the time I get this posted, it might already be at the gallery. I'm about a week behind on my videos. Something about creativity. I was thinking about Access Gallery and what it's meant to me and how it helped me heal through creativity and community. So, and then I always do knots and churny bits. So, all right, I'll stop talking. Thank you.